All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for showing up to today's masterclass. If anyone is watching the replay, you are going to get so much value in today's masterclass. At the end, we're going to go through a little Q&A. So if you have any questions or concerns, please write them down and save them for the end. So today's masterclass is going to be going over how to eat 100 to 150 grams of protein effortlessly with no powders, no shakes, and no bars needed. All right. Let's see if my arrow works. There we go. So why does protein matter? So protein is the foundation of a healthy metabolism, supporting muscle repair. I know Michelle is talking about feeling some DOMs from her last workout. So getting at least minimum 20 grams of protein up to 50 grams of protein is that range that you're aiming for after your workout within 60 minutes is ideal to reduce our DOMs. It's also going to help with satiety and sustaining our energy throughout the day. So ideally, we are aiming for 30 to 50 grams per meal. If you're thinking of 3 times per day for those meals, so 3 times per or 30 would roughly give you 90 grams, and then adding in a high protein snack with 150 grams of protein being our goal. 50 grams of protein if we're having 3 meals will get you right on the spot. So this is going to help with optimizing absorption and maintaining fullness. It's going to have a balanced protein intake supporting fat loss while preserving why are words so hard right now? Preserving, there we go. Lean muscle mass and consistent protein helps stabilize our blood sugar and reduces our cravings. Why do we want protein to come from whole foods versus powders, shakes, or bars? So number one, and we're going to go through all of this a little bit more deeply, but number one being better nutrient density. Number two being improved satiety and appetite control. Number three, better blood sugar balance. Number four, thermic effect of food metabolism boost. Number five, digestive and gut health. And number six, powders have their place, but as a supplement. So, better nutrient density. Whole food protein sources like meat, eggs, fish, yogurt, beans, and lentils provide you vitamins, minerals, fiber, and healthy fats that your body, let's let in Amanda here, that your body needs for overall health. So, chicken equals protein, vitamin B, iron, Greek yogurt, protein, calcium, probiotics, lentils, protein, fiber, and magnesium. Protein powders and bars are isolated, so they mostly give you protein but miss the other micronutrients that support energy, digestion, and metabolism. Number two, improve satiety and appetite control. Whole foods require chewing and digestion, which triggers your body's satiety hormones like leptin and peptide YY. So, if you feel fuller longer, you'll be less likely to overeat or snack mindlessly, especially for my nighttime bingers. Liquid shakes and bars are convenient but digest quickly, leading to faster hunger spikes and less satisfaction overall. Number three, let's improve our blood sugar balance. So protein from whole food sources will slow down digestion. It's going to help stabilize our blood sugar and energy throughout the day. Bars and shakes often contain added sugars, artificial sweeteners, and or sugar alcohols, which can cause energy crashes or bloating. Number four, thermic effect of food metabolism boosts. Digesting whole foods takes more energy for your body to break down. Your body's actually burning more calories digesting solid protein compared to liquid protein. This is called the thermic effect of food, TEF, and it can contribute to higher daily caloric expenditure. Number five, digestive and gut health. While whole foods from sources support gut health with nutrients, enzymes, and fiber, especially plant-based ones. And we're going to go a little bit over some options here so you can have a mix of both. In contrast, many powders are going to use artificial additives or gums, which irritate our digestion or cause bloating for some people. I'm definitely one of those people, so I tend to stay clear from those options, but I do have them once in a while, and I notice my belly is not happy. Powders do have their place. Oh, letting in another one. Powders do have their place, but as a supplement. So you don't want to think of a protein shake or a protein bar as a meal. But if we're behind on protein, we're having a harder time getting our protein in consistently, and we're noticing a pattern, then we may add it as a supplementation, but we don't want to replace it as a meal. They're great for convenience, just not your foundation. So they're going to help fill the gap when you're on the go or your post-workout, really ensuring that you're getting enough protein within that 60-minute time frame after your workout. If you're struggling to hit your protein goals from food, or you're traveling or short on prep time, that's where they can come in. But again, ideally working towards those whole food sources, aiming 80 to 90% of our protein coming from a whole food source. So using powders and bars as a backup and not the base. So setting your protein targets, this simple math. So daily goal between 100 and 150 grams of protein, or you're thinking of approximately zero point 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Or if you're finding that your current body composition is way off where you'd like to be, then using your ideal body weight. Spreading evenly. So an example could be 3 meals plus 2 snacks throughout the day, depending on what your schedule looks like, what food looks like throughout the day. That might vary depending on the individual, but as long as you're staying consistent and it's easy and flows with your lifestyle. And then an easy example for 130 grams of protein, breakfast being around 30 grams, our lunch being 35, dinner 40, plus 2 snacks, totaling of 25 grams. Quick tips on how to hit your protein goals. So including protein in every single meal. Of course, we want to build our plates around fiber and protein. So thinking of that whole protein source and a large portion of that plate being fibrous greens, vegetables, colors, fruits, etc. Prioritizing whole foods. We want to think of foods that come from nature versus in a package. So if it has a barcode scanner on it, maybe not ideal. Um, Prepping our protein-rich snacks. So prepping like hard-boiled eggs, cottage cheese cups, or Greek yogurt, that can be really easy to grab on the go and stop you from mindlessly snacking. And mixing plant and animal-based proteins together because both are going to have a variety and complete amino acid profile and better with nutrient density throughout your week. So some examples of animal proteins. We've got 4 ounces of most of these protein sources. So we're looking at chicken, turkey, ground beef, pork, steak. We got eggs, egg whites, some different types of whitefish, salmon, shrimp, or canned tuna. And then it's going to show you here, and I'm going to send you guys this ebook afterwards as well. So no worries, you can screenshot if you'd like now, or just wait for the ebook. This is showing us our protein profile. And if we're looking at this list, the one that has the most protein is going to be your chicken breast at 35 grams of protein out of all of them. But feel free to swap some of these protein sources, even if you're looking through the high protein recipe guide and you find like a recipe that you like, but you don't want that protein source, swap it out for another one. And then showing our calories for those protein sources. Next, we got some dairy and alternatives. So we got our Greek yogurt, skyr yogurt, cottage cheese, cheese, skim milk, or ricotta. So they're showing our highest profile at our Greek yogurt being 18 grams. I'm not sure about skyr can range. My skyr is personally 18 grams as well, but depending on the brand. And then some plant-based options. So lentils, chickpeas, black beans, edamame, tofu, tempeh. I don't know how to say this one. Seitan? Canola, hemp hearts, pumpkin seeds, almonds, and green peas. Where our highest option here is the one I can't pronounce. So all right, so meal prep hacks to save time and stay on track. So cooking your proteins in bulk. So if you're cooking a supper, making an additional like chicken breast or two so that you have something for lunch the next day or supper, etc. I like to prep my ground beef with a homemade taco seasoning and I make a ton of that for the week and then I can mix it up so that whether I want it with sweet potatoes or rice or in a taco shell or a burrito, etc., then I don't have to eat the same meal every single day, but I'm still enjoying a protein source that I like. Portioning snacks in advance. So maybe we're buying like pre-packaged Greek yogurts that are individually portioned versus buying the big one if that's going to make your life a little bit easier. Or like packets of cheese prepped, etc. Using sheep hand meals. So combining salmon or chicken with tons of colorful vegetables, and that will be super easy, quick, fast, 25 minutes in the oven, and you have 3 to 4 protein-packed dinners ready to go. And then plan weekly shopping. So find a day where you make a list on the meals that you want to have that week versus going into the grocery store aimless and not knowing what you want and then just going through the aisles. Again, in the grocery store, we want to think about going around the perimeters. So depending on how your grocery store is set up, like you're either going straight to the vegetables or the meat section and getting like the whole food sources you need, and then maybe going through the aisles for a couple different ingredients versus just skimming all around and then grabbing things based on hunger. A meal plan template here that we could use as an example. So for breakfast, using a protein source, some fiber and healthy fat, maybe some eggs, Greek yogurt, or cottage cheese paired with whole grains, avocado, or nuts. A snack with a protein source with some fruits or veggies like nuts, cheese, yogurt, along with some fresh produce. For lunch, a protein source, whole grains and veggies. So maybe some chicken, fish, or legumes with some quinoa, brown rice, and some colorful vegetables. Snack number 2, protein plus some nuts or dairy, some cottage cheese, some hard-boiled eggs, or some nuts, nut butter with fruit. And then for dinner, protein, veggies, and complex carbs. So maybe some salmon, lean ground beef, tofu, alongside with some vegetables and sweet potato or whole grains. And then an actual real life example of what it would look like to hit 140 grams of protein without any shakes or bars. So for breakfast, 30 grams of protein, spinach and egg sandwich on whole grain bread with a glass of milk. For a snack, 20 grams of protein, Greek yogurt topped with some berries and a drizzle of honey. For lunch, some turkey and quinoa, power bowl with some vegetables, avocado, and some lemon tahini dressing. For a snack, cottage cheese with some apple slices and cinnamon, and supper, some teriyaki salmon skewers with some roasted Brussels sprouts, bell peppers, and cauliflower rice. So again, this is just an idea of how you can structure one of your days. A lot of my clients end up using ChatGPT, typing in foods that they like to eat or foods that they have available, and then asking it to create a plan that's going to hit their calories, protein, and fiber goals. And then they know exactly the portion sizes that they need to include in their day to hit those goals right on the dot. And then this is just like a quick little grocery list essentials for protein success. So animal proteins, dairy proteins, plant proteins, seeds, nuts, and more, and some produce that we kind of went over earlier. And your homework after today's masterclass is going to be going into the group and posting your biggest takeaway from today's masterclass, as well as how are you going to implement what you learned today. I'm going to end my screen sharing, and then we can either lift our hand or just unmute and ask any questions we may have or type in the chat.
I have a question for you, and it's not
Yes.
totally related to protein,
Okay.
but sorry, I'm starting to prep dinner. For water,
Okay.
does herbal teas count if they're
Depends.
decaffeinated?
Yes, if they're
Like
decaffeinated, yes.
like fruit teas, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
sweet.
you're clear
Because
on that one.
getting into winter, I like hot teas and stuff.
Yeah,
So
totally. Helps you stay hydrated, and oftentimes you might get some like vitamins or minerals depending on the type of tea or antioxidants. So definitely a great idea there.
cool.
Brittany asked in the chat, what are your thoughts on not eating after a certain time? I don't agree with that personally. Like whether you're eating at 8 p.m. or 8:01, I feel like ideally, we are setting ourselves up for success throughout the day so that we're adequately fueling our bodies. But if we're going to bed absolutely starving and we're going to lose sleep over that, we're going to be uncomfortable over that. Like, I would suggest just eating something and not stressing about what time of day it is. Again, like a lot of people are shift workers, everybody's got different schedules. So for me to be like, don't eat after this time doesn't really make sense. So ideally, you want to leave a few hours before bed for proper digestion and proper rest. If you have a bunch of food in your belly right before going to bed, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get into a deep sleep because your body is working hard on digesting that food. So that's the biggest thing that I would focus on is trying to leave a good 2 to 4 hours before your bedtime from food, but again, don't over stress it. You're not going to gain more weight because you ate too late, but just be mindful that it is going to disrupt your sleep, which could play into our energy levels, which could play into our ability to burn fat if we're not sleeping adequately, if that makes sense. I hope that answered your question. Amanda, should we be counting the protein in our collagen supplement? I personally suggest to all my clients to not track your collagen in MyFitnessPal. It will boost your protein quite significantly, and I do encourage adding collagen supplementation if you have it. However, it is not a complete protein source, so it's not actually going to contribute to muscle growth and repair. Does that make sense? All right. All right. So we don't have any more questions. Your homework for today, ladies, is posting your biggest takeaways in the group and how you're going to implement what you learned in today's call. If we have any other questions, concerns, please don't be afraid to shoot them in the group, and I will see you guys all so very soon. I love you. And have a great evening.